From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Board reconvene. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Gleason.
Here.
Supervisor Scrivener.
Here.
Supervisor Maggard.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
Here.
Morning, everybody. We're going to start off this morning's meeting with a salute to the flag led by Mr. Zane Smith, the Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club of Kern County. Please remain standing for a moment of silence, prayer, or meditation.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Outstanding job. We're going to kick off this morning with a review of the consent agenda. Agendas are on the tables by the doors as you come into the hallway. So consent agenda, all items listed with a CA above the item number considered to be routine and non-controversial by county staff. Consent items will be considered first, may be approved by one motion if no member of the board or audience wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or discussion is desired by anyone, the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the board concerning the item before action is taken. So going through the agenda, under appointments, items 1 and 2, under departmental requests, items 6, 7, under airports 6 and 7, under Auditor Controller County Clerk is 8 and 9. Clerk of the Board is 10 through 13. Employers Training Resource 14 through 18. Fire Department is items 20 and 21. Human Services item 22. Mental Health Services 24. Public Health Services 25 and 26. Sheriff's Department is 27 through 29. Does any member of the public wish to pull any of these items off the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for comment and a vote.
Motion on consent.
Second. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
Brings us to item number 3, the public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the board on any matter not on this agenda but under the jurisdiction of the board. Board members may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed. They may ask a question for clarification, make a referral to staff for factual information, or request staff to report back to the board at a later meeting. Also, the board may take action to direct the staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. Please state and spell your name before making your presentation. Any takers? Yes, sir.
Good morning, Chairman.
Good morning.
Board members. Curtis Cornelison. I am an unrepresented management employee. I've worked for the county for over 30 years. I have a few questions that I would like to address with the board regarding item number 17 on the afternoon calendar that is going to be pulled, but I'm sure will be brought to your board for consideration behind closed doors. And I ask that this board take a very hard look at the impact on the employees and how this can be vetted out. Number one, the employees were never noticed. At least I wasn't noticed, and I have county email just like all your other unrepresented management employees. The CAO's office and Human Resources needs to be asked what the real reason was for not noticing employees. We could have been able to comment, provide input, but we didn't get the respect to do that. So I asked this board to ask Mr. Brown and the CAO's office why they did not feel it necessary to provide us with the information and to get input from us. Number 2, what is the true savings for this? You can be broad in your assessment, but I know this board needs accurate information to come to a reasonable conclusion as to whether this is good for the county and good for the employees. I would venture to say that if the county is going to save a lot of money, Mr. Brown should be able to provide you with accurate information from the auditor's office that tells you exactly what the savings is going to be. He hasn't done that, and I'm sure you should ask that question, exactly how much he's planning on saving, and he can get that information. And I would say that once you evaluate that and you determine the impact of the savings versus the damage you're going to do to your unrepresented management employees who are trying to save this county dollars by doing the best we possibly can by evaluating everything we're doing, you will see that the damage to be done is going to be more than what you will save annually. And I ask you to take that into consideration also. I would ask that this board, as county council, to review a couple of items because, quite frankly, I trust county council to give us a good opinion. I don't trust the CAO's office to give us a good opinion. And items like this, where we're not noticed, only fuels the fire for distrust with the CAO's office. So I would ask this board to ask Ms. Goldner to provide us with an opinion that we can trust as to whether 15, 20, and 25-year employees have a vested right to this benefit, and can it be taken from us or changed. Number two, I would ask Ms. Goldner to take a look at the IRS code that governs health savings accounts and ask whether they in fact can arbitrarily come and change our benefit. Because in the IRS code, as I read it, it says voluntary. You don't come before the board with a resolution saying the employees are going to take this and say it's voluntary. So if I'm wrong about that, I would like Ms. Goldner to be able to tell me that. And so thank you for your time. I know you guys value your employees, and I know that, I'm sorry I'm a little bit passionate about this. I've been here for 30 years, and you're asking me to change my benefit at the last day without even notice. I had planned for my retirement for over 30 years, and they are coming at the last minute and hitting you with that. So thank you for letting me vent my frustration. I ask that you guys take this seriously, and your employees are very important. Don't let them run off your valued, trusted employees. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Don't leave. If you could please, before you leave today, if you could get all those, you had some really good questions you wanted to ask. I want to make sure we answer all of them, each one of them. So could you somehow write them down, make sure we get it, so we can give you the answers you're asking for?
Yes, sir. I'll get them to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Any comments?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I want to comment directly.
Before you start, Mr. Nyland, can I say one thing I think is true, that the item already has been pulled. As a matter of procedure, is that a fact? It's not that it's going to be pulled, it has been pulled. Is that correct?
Yes, I received word from the department that they had requested the item to be withdrawn, and that will be read into the record this afternoon.
So it has already been pulled.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Continue, Mr. Nyland.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good morning. I would like to comment directly to the speaker's issues here, and I want to say that it is my responsibility for this failure. We should have communicated. I did not do that. It rests solely with me. It is clear now, upon retrospect, that we should have reached out in a much more meaningful and deliberate way, and we did not do that. And we plan to rectify that. We are pleased that the item has been pulled, and we're pleased that the leadership of the board has directed us to consider that and to reach out to the management, mid-management, confidential employees. We will do that. We will meet with them on Friday and Monday and anywhere they want to meet so that we can make sure that this has occurred. Again, I take full responsibility, and I will do whatever is necessary to try and remedy this and possible rebuild trust. We honor and respect the employees. The plan in place was intended to be beneficial to everyone, but if it is seen as not, we will come back to your board with recommendations on how to proceed or not to proceed. So again, I would take full responsibility, and I apologize to the management, mid-management, and confidential employees who are upset by this action. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nyland. Supervisor Maggart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. we will deal with the implications of this and how to get appropriate input from our staff before we move forward. I'm confident that that will happen. I want to make sure that the process is conducted in a fashion that the employees have every confidence that their input meant something, and nothing is just a foregone conclusion. So I would like to express my concern in such a way that it's clear that I think we should slow this down and make sure that, if there's going to be input received from employees on Friday and Monday, that we don't come back next Tuesday with a recommendation of what to do. That plenty of time needs to be done so that they can ask their questions, they can have their input, we can reflect upon that, and we can have an honest, transparent exchange of ideas about it before it comes to the point that that this comes back to the board for action again. And that might mean that there might be more, I might at least ask for more than just meetings on Friday and Monday. We might receive input one day, reflect upon that, have another meeting so that this takes some time, so there's an honest dialogue about what the implications would be. And I'm dedicated to make sure that these folks, that it isn't just lots of people, the vast majority of people who work for the county are represented by a bargaining unit, by a union. There are some folks that we ask to make very, very difficult decisions. We ask them to help us come in line with all of our budget issues that we have. We ask them to implement. They're the people that principally implement the policies of the board. And many of them are now at a point in their career where they can decide whether they're going to leave or stay. And they are vital to our success. So I want to make sure there's an environment where they have at least no reason to leave, that they are incentivized to stay and help us solve these issues before they end their careers and move on to the next phases of their life. So enough said for today, but I want us to make sure we take the time to take that input and reflect upon it and have more discussions with them before this comes back to us for action again. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Maggart. Let me chime in for a quick second. I think that we're ready to embark on a new way, or hopefully a hopeful and better way of managing our budget and becoming the kind of county we want to become. And we had our second in a series of strategic meetings last week, and Mr. Voiland clearly articulated that the foundational principles of any change to where we want to go must be built on respect for people and continuous process improvement. This is a horrible thing that happened, miscommunication that occurred, but it is an opportunity for us to understand exactly what we're talking about when we say the foundation principle for any change in what we're doing is respect for people. What does that mean? How do we achieve that? What exactly does that mean in a governmental organization when we have, 10% remaining of a budget deficit we got to find? How are we going to treat our employees in the best and most fair way to achieve what we want to do while we're finding these efficiencies? And how can we expect employees to be confident of a process that will make them successful rather than them being a victim of a process? That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to go. We want to go there, and this is a great pivot point for us to say, okay, maybe miscommunications are intolerable. We can't do that. We got to solve that problem. But what we have to do is show respect for people. That includes not only our employees, but that includes our customers and the taxpayers. So I'm looking forward to drilling down on this thing, finding out what happened, what didn't happen, how it went right, how it went wrong, what we can do, Mr. Quinellison, to get back to where we need to be so we can move forward in a direction that's going to make us the best county in California. That's what I'm looking forward to doing. So thank you very much for your input, sir. Anyone else? I don't see any other notes. Okay. Moving on. Public presentations. Anybody else for public presentations? Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Nelson Vasquez. I'm a resident here in Bakersfield. I just have one question. Since July 18th of 2016, what specific steps have the board and the county's council's office taken to enact legislation for the licensing, regulation, and taxation of medical marijuana dispensaries in the unincorporated areas of Kern County? And if you haven't done so, when will you?
Thanks, sir. That's a very complicated question. Do you have an answer, or do you want to take the question under consideration? Get back to
I'm happy to give a short answer, and then we'll respond to your.
Why don't we do that, Mr. Vasquez? Why don't we ask County Council to give you a quick response summary, and then if you could drop your questions off with the council, and we need to make a more detailed response to your questions, we'll be glad to do that.
Fair enough.
Madam Council.
The short answer is that we are coming back to your board with a recommendation after the election. Because once the election occurs, depending on what happens on the recreational marijuana initiative that's on the board, that will affect our recommendation. So you will be seeing this matter, but it won't be until after the election, after the next election in November.
Thank you, ma'am. If you could please forward your comments, your questions to the County Council, we'll get you a more detailed response. And thank you, Mr. Vasquez. Any other thoughts? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item number 4, board member announcements. Supervisor Perez.
Thank you. Mr. Nylon, you would have been very proud of Teresa Hitchcock last week and her team that put together what, in my opinion, is the most effective seminar, workforce symposium that I've ever been to. The panelists were engaged, passionate, and it was truly, truly remarkable. Every single person I talked to, whether they were in education, whether they were in the private sector, the nonprofit world, were so impressed with the job that was done by ETR, the team. Really, Mr. Nylon, it was just the best that it could possibly have been. And so once again, I will say hats off and a thank you to Mr. Turnipseed and the tons of people that I can't name here today that have been part of our workforce task force that have helped us to create this kind of dialogue, to promote it, and to break down the silos of communication between our education systems, be they K through 12 or our community college system, and of course our private sector that is in such desperate need for very skilled and qualified labor. So really, Mr. Nylon, hats off. Teresa did a just phenomenal job, so thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Perez. Seeing no other board member announcements, we'll move on to departmental requests. Kicking us off is number 5 under airports, proposed dedication of improvements and service agreement with LHCF LLC to operate and maintain the Lost Hills Wonderful Park in Lost Hills for a term of 5 years and with a 5-year option to extend effective 25 October 2016. Whew. Over to you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I would ask that this item be moved to the PM agenda so that Wonderful Company can be present for the item.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Anybody on the public wishing to comment on moving it to the afternoon agenda? Seeing none, we'll consider a vote in consideration from the board of this
So moved.
continuance. We have a motion.
I'll second that.
Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved, all ayes.
Brings us to item number 19 under the Fire Department. Request to set public hearing to consider proposed ordinance to revise and set fees for services provided and permits issued by the Kern County Fire Department. Chief.
Chairman Gleason, members of the board, good morning. I'm joined by Deputy Fire Chief Benny Wofford, who oversees our Fire Prevention Bureau. The item before you is to request to set a public hearing to consider proposed ordinance to revise and set fees for services provided and permits issued by the Kern County Fire Department. With the fire code, every 3 years, the California Fire Code is updated, and then the County of Kern adopts this new fire code. We've worked with the building department, and all of these codes, building, mechanical, and the fire code are updated, and then we adopt them here in Kern County. And the effective date will be January 1st, 2017. The ordinance that we're bringing forward will increase the current fee structure for our fire prevention fees. As part of the new fire code, there is 4 new sections that we have to establish a fee structure for, and we are revising our existing fees. These fees cover mandated fire inspections, planning, land use, and development issues, special permits, construction permits, and fire department standbys. Basically, the Kern County Fire Department's Fire Prevention Unit has 2 distinct functions. The first one are these mandated fire inspections. That's Title 19 life safety inspections, where we go into businesses and make sure that the business is safe for our citizens to use. The second part of it is the planning, land use and development, permits, construction permits, and standbys. This is when an applicant comes into the fire prevention unit and requests our services, and we charge a fee, whether that be to review a fire sprinkler system that's being installed in a commercial building, or fire department standbys that we often do during movie shoots for Hollywood movies, or our July 4th fire prevention standbys at fireworks shows. Our current fee schedule was established in March of 2006 and has not been changed. This proposed fee revision will bring in line the actual cost to perform these services. That's our hourly rate, and we've done a time study to look at what it cost our fire prevention officers to review permits, go out and perform inspections, and all things that our fire prevention unit does. The new fees are new sections within the fire code, and that includes emergency responder radio coverage for big buildings, electrified security gates or fences, which often hamper firefighters' entry into a burning building, and we need to make sure that we're able to get inside a locked structure. Stationary storage battery systems, CO2 for beverage dispensing, and mobile fueling permits. Our revised fee includes 1 fee for service, and that's filming permits, where our fire prevention unit is engaged, often with Hollywood, as they film all over the county of Kern. As I mentioned, we go out and do Title 19 life safety inspections. This is state-mandated business inspections that keep our families safe as they use local businesses. We've made a decision, we're not changing that rate. It will remain at $90. In conjunction with the building department, we've held a series of public meetings across the county, met with key stakeholders to discuss the new fire code itself and our proposed fees. We've listened to and considered all of the public input that the public's given us to make sure that we are doing the correct thing. So therefore, it's recommended that your board set a public hearing for Tuesday, November 15th, 2016 at 9 a.m. in the board chambers to receive comments, direct county council to prepare a fair and adequate summary of the proposed ordinance, and direct the clerk of the board to publish notice of hearing and summary of proposed ordinance. So that concludes our presentation today. Staff's available to answer any questions your board may have.
Thanks, Chief. Let's open it to the public for public review and comment. Don't see anybody, so let's bring it back to the board for comment and consideration.
I'll move approval of the recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved, all ayes.
Brings us to item number 23, under the library. Proposed resolution authorizing temporary closure of all library department facilities on December 9, 2016, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and approval to pay expenses for the annual training and staff development meeting in an amount not to exceed $1,000. Ms. Kerr.
Good morning, Nancy Currier, Director of Libraries. Good morning, Chairman Gleason and members of the board.
Good morning.
We are pleased to present our proposal for what we believe is our second annual, or at least our second in a long time, closure of the libraries for one day for a staff development meeting. This is our one and only chance every year to bring our staff together from as far away as Ridgecrest and Fraser Park and Delano and all over Kern County. We'll talk this year definitely about what our budget realities mean to our staff. We will talk a lot about what core services we think we want to maintain and to strengthen in our libraries, and start a discussion with the staff about their input into our strategic plan. A lot of what we'll showcase this year is best practices among our staff. We have some really wonderful things that are going on in our branches. Community partnerships, programs such as summer lunch at the library, grant writing, all kinds of things that are going on with our very enthusiastic staff. So last year we brought in a lot of speakers from other county departments, and we'll probably do a couple this year, but we're really going to focus on our staff communicating with the rest of the staff. They have very few chances to do so, and we look forward to an energizing full day of programs and speakers.
Outstanding. Thanks. Any questions before we go to the public? Let's go to the public, and if you grab a seat, Ms. Kerr, maybe they'll have some questions for you. Any comments, questions from the public? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for comment consideration.
Move approval.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
That brings us to the end of this morning's session, and we're going to adjourn to closed session. I need a vote to adjourn to closed session.
So moved.
Done.